I'm Giant, and this is the top 10 in Treehouse of Horrors episodes that should get the Simpflex treatment. The Simpflex is the Simpsons spoof on Netflix. It being out of continuity, and it being a spoof on something from Netflix, and it also being more dark and serious. And it also being a spoof of more than one thing at a time, and that is something that Netflix should do. It would be nice them doing it for Treehouse of Horrors, since the Simpflex proved that The Simpsons is still good, and that it never lost its mojo in the first place. It just got back even more. In fact, it being better than the original seasons. Because the villain was an actually serious threat, and they actually made jokes about how evil he is. There was no jokes about him being incompetent. The Simpsons were in a worse spot than usual. Like, it's been a really long time since they were in a spot this bad. They found the nicest characters, but in a good way. It was the first Simpsons two-parter since Who Shot Mr. Burns, which is all the way back in the 90s, and it being 2024 in the time of recording of this video, so yeah, that's a long time. And it actually took advantage of it being around for so long by showing how surprising it is Flanders doing these terrible things. After it, they also did some good things in the main continuity, like fleshing out the original characters that's been there for years, doing things that's a valuable lesson for the grown-ups watching this in real life. And they did talk about some things that only could have happened in real life because of it being based on real-life events that happened recently. Plus, they also did some big continuity things and some things that were also good for the modern audience today. Like, it was good seeing Smithers go on a date with someone other than Mr. Burns, and it just being in a plain and good relationship. With it being good for the LGBT community couples too, and Marge deciding to enjoy what little time she has as her kids being kids left, and them commenting on the coronavirus and how you should forget the past, and them also doing big things for the Simpsons continuity that wouldn't have been as big and they couldn't do before because them only doing it now because of them going on for so long. It only makes it better. It's good us finally seeing these things, and it's good them finally doing it with these characters. It would still be out of continuity, but in a horror way, and it also being in three stories, but it being three big storylines, not just the short versions of the story like they do in the usual Treehouse of Horrors specials. Number 10, Cool World. You're not going to be doing the original plotline of Cool World because the Cool World movie was a terrible cheap knockoff of Roger Rabbit, and it was way too R-rated. But you are going to be doing the original plotline for Cool World, of where a live-action man and a cartoon woman and dated each other and them having a kid together. That is a combination of cartoon and live-action. Her being an abomination because of it, and her having a terrible life because of it. So her wanting revenge on her father and going to the real world to see him. She would get her revenge on her father and kill him, but then she'd find out it screwed her father dating her mother because that's why she was there in the first place. And it is a good idea, a cartoon wanting to be a real person, and someone from real life wanting to be a cartoon, so that should stay in this version of it too. You showing why real life is good because of you being real, but also why cartoon life is good because of you being able to do things that you can't do in real life, and also because of it being real to you, that makes it real in general. Lisa would be the girl in the story, and her parents be the parents of the story. It would ask some really good questions about the main Simpsons show, like what if Homer abandoned his family and wasn't there to raise the kids with Marge? And what if Lisa had a perfectly good reason for hating her Baba and her is hating her Baba? It would show how good of a father Homer is in the main continuity. And it would also show how much better of a father he has gotten over the years, because while he is stupid and in a jerk phase, he is still a good person and he does love his kids. Number 9, A Twilight Vacation. The Simpsons go on vacation all the time, and they spoof the Twilight Zone all the time, so it would be good than spoofing these two episodes from the Twilight Zone. With Homer being stressed out at work, so him going to Club being with his Baba, it being Marge's idea to make him feel better at being stressed out at work, but then it turns out Club being the name of a graveyard service and them dying on the way there. which is how them staying there, and it turns out it being a really old time, them actually going back in time to when Homer was a kid. But then, and Homer's mother from the past would tell Homer and his brother to find their joy in the modern day, which they did with their family. Number 8. American Psycho. The Simpsons already did a brief mention of parodying Psycho, so it would be good them actually parodying Psycho and it being a full-on parody this time. Doing it exactly the same but with Skinner and his mommy. Since it was the first horror movie and the best horror movie twist. It being American Psycho because you also would spoof American Psycho here with Mr. Burns killing people. With these things just overlapping with each other and Mr. Burns just doing it for fun. And because of them overlapping with each other is how the Simpsons would find out about it and stop them. Number 7. Imaginary Horror. Bart and Lisa's imaginary friends from when they were kids would come back in the modern day in the future when they're grown-ups to kill their enemies and anyone who messes with them. They would hate it at first, but in the end they would actually appreciate it. And it would turn out anything they imagined would come to life, and us also seeing other people's imaginary friends and also other people's imaginations coming to life. And us also seeing into an imagination world, and it also being horror themed because of it being Treehouse of Horror. So we would see some pretty crazy and R-rated stuff, and some evil and crazy people's imaginations. Like us seeing Mr. Burns' imagination, or Otto, or someone who's high on drugs imaginations. And you also took advantage of it to see some horror imaginations, and also to do some crazy horror things with people's imaginations here. With us also seeing Bart's awesome imagination, and Homer's R-rated imagination. And us also seeing the imagination of a crazy person in Springfield, and some of the special kinds of imaginations in Springfield, it being like an R-rated horror episode of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. It being based on the horror movie of the same idea, and The Simpsons has done things with imaginary friends before, but this time being the main plotline of it.
Bread.
Oh, how delightful. Bread made especially for pumpkins.
Actually, it's made from pumpkins. Uh-oh.
Revenge!
Seeing an idiot, a stupid triangle nose, and a big mouthful of the ugliest shaped teeth there are. Square. And I'm gonna make your friends watch.
No! Ladies. Stupid. Everywhere I look, pumpkin atrocities!
Care for a pumpkin seed?
You roast the unborn?
Touch me and I'll cut your friend.
What do I care? That's a yellow pumpkin.
You're a racist!
All pumpkins are racist. The difference is I admit it.
I'd rather die than hate!
Pumpkin segregation forever. Oh.
I can't live on the outside, I can't.
Why can't a real person like me this much?
I'm gonna kill everyone you love, and they'll blame you because nobody else can see me.
I can see you because I am incredibly wasted.
Imaginary friend. When the child matures, you cease to exist.
I don't take orders from a hot dog.
Uh-oh. No! Cut slits in me first! Ah!
Think your dad will pay for college? Now who's imagining this?
Number 6. A Hello Neighbor parody. You would do it as a spoof on the Hello Neighbor video game, and it would definitely be better than the show about it, and the Simpsons would do it good because they would do the horror part of the game. Ned Flanders would be the evil neighbor, and Bart and his friends would try to investigate him, with Bart and Lisa stopping Ned Flanders because he killed his family for a dark ritual for God. Number 5. A superhero college with the Simpsons. It would start out as Bart and Lisa as orphans, and them liking their life at the orphanage because of them having friends there and a good life there. But them running away instead of getting adopted because them not wanting to leave the orphanage because of them having a good life there, and them also hating their parents for abandoning them there. But then it turns out their parents would have needed to abandon them there, and them also agreeing to be adopted by their parents. Them also hating that their parents doesn't spend a lot of time with them because of work, but then their parents find out that their kids don't need luxury, their kids need their parents. This would be similar to Earwig and the Jungle Master animated movies. You would do this to spoof other things, so there being other things to it, and you getting the most out of spoofing this thing. And so it would get more of a Harry Potter feel, and it is similar because of there being sorcerers and it being about family. And Harry Potter is about a magic school for kids, so it being similar to that. But this being more of a spoof on the X-Men and the superhero college thing in general. Because the Simpsons already spoofed Harry Potter, and with the X-Men you would be more original with it. And with the X-Men, it being a superhero college specifically, it not being a magic school for people. As in, you not finding out a specific thing there, you just finding out how to use the powers you already have there. And it being powers in general, not something that ties you to a specific type of power like with science and magic. The Simpsons have spoofed the X-Men before, but this way they'd be spoofing the college part of it specifically. And it being a Treehouse of Horrors spoof on it, so a full-on spoof of it, not just a brief mention of it. Thus, it is perfect timing with X-Men 97 being around here, and superhero cartoon shows in general are at an all-time high with shows like My Adventures of Superman and Batman the Kid Crusader. It also showing them being more mature and them being for all ages, so the Simpsons definitely could do that. It would be similar to Harry Potter, but it would mainly be similar to the X-Men and version of a superhero college. And it not being a superhero college specifically, it just being a different kind of college. It being a college you specifically find out things that's similar to a superhero, but it being a special thing. Are you finding out there things that are similar to a superhero, or are you finding out cartoon things there? It being similar to the X-Men just because of it being a college and you finding out special things there. And it being a college specifically because school is terrible, and because at least with college you don't need to worry about people being terrible there, and you find out specifically what you want to find out there. And it being a college, so you spoofing it in a Simpsons way, and it also being similar to the Teen Titans version of the X-Men in Smallville, of where them trying to find out how to be superheroes, and also the Hive Academy from the Teen Titans show, where it being a supervillain college version of the X-Men. With it being from an iconic superhero, and it being to find out how to be a supervillain specifically, and also a superhero college in general from DC Superhero Girls, since it is similar to the Teen Titans Supervillain College, and the Teen Titans Supervillain College is a supervillain version of the X-Men, and it is good because as of them doing it similar to the X-Men but with supervillains and it being a college. And it being good, it being a superhero college for DC Superhero Girls because the reboot is much superior than the original, because the original was just a superhero version of Monster High, and it being stereotypically girly. Well, at least the 2019 version of it is just as a good superhero show in general, and it's just a superhero show in general. And it also being similar to the Friendship University from My Little Trouble Pony, which is a good show because it not being stereotypically girly. And it actually doing a good job with the idea of it being about ponies. I found out how good it is by me finding it out with my sisters and watching it with them, but I can see how someone would be embarrassed by liking it and by seeing it. And Happily Ever I is just a cheap knockoff of Monster High, and it also being stereotypically girly. But at least it's good, and it's a good idea, it having something to do with fairy tales. And the Monster High reboot is much better than the original Monster High shows, because it being similar to My Little Trouble Pony. with it not being stereotypically girly, and it also taking advantage of it being monsters, and also it being about their friendship, and it being more like a monster college than in general. It is also good it being similar to Casper's Scare Prison. And it's good it not being a cheap knockoff of My Little Trouble Pony, and the 3D effect is good. And Supernatural Academy is similar to Harry Potter and Monster High, so you're also doing it similar to that, and I also like the art style of Monster High. And there is good animation there. And it also being similar to Casper's Scare Prison. Because, as the Simpsons always spoof Casper and Hanna-Barbera all the time, so this way they would be more original with spoofing Casper and Hanna-Barbera in general. And Casper's Scare Prison is good because it is one of the best as kinds of a monster college and one of the best special kinds of college in general. And the 3D effect is good, and it is also good in a Casper way because of it being more original than the other Casper shows. Casper is still good in it, he's still the friendly ghost, and it is good him going against them trying to make him into a bad person and him not doing what they say and becoming a bad person in the show. That's why it's good, them doing it around Casper. Casper himself is still good, Casper himself is still the friendly ghost. It's just everyone around him is doing scary things. Thus it is good him having a good influence and a good effect on the other people there, and him also making some friends that are monsters like him, while him still having his human friends there. And it was also good having a Mind Casper show, and it is good at there being a Mind Casper show in general. It was also one of the best as Mind Casper shows and the best Mind Casper show. And even Scooby-Doo did a spoof on the College for Special People thing with Scooby-Doo Goes to Ghoul Prison, of where them mentoring the daughters of the most iconic monsters, and with Abracadabra Doo, where them going into something that's similar to Harry Potter's prison, but it being with stage magic. They even fight against a griffin there, and it also being good in its own way there. And they also did the horror trope up from horror movies with horror camps and with Camp Scare, with it being filled with serial killers and monsters there. And they also did something similar to it. It was Scooby-Doo's stage fight, with it being a play and it also being a spoof on Phantom of the Opera. And Tiny Toons, and the Tiny Toons reboot is about how Looney Tunes kid characters is finding out how to beat the modern day Looney Tunes from the original Looney Tunes. So the Simpsons definitely should be able to do their own kind of a special kind of college for their own Treehouse of Horror specials, with it being about that specifically. The Simpsons does usually spoof Harry Potter in the main continuity, with Lisa being a fan of a spoof of Harry Potter. But that's just in the original continuity, and it just being with something that's similar to Harry Potter. It is also good them doing some brief mentions of spoofing Harry Potter throughout the show and throughout the series. It is especially good the times when Lisa spoofed it, and with great sass and at Mr. Burns' camp. And in the modern Simpsons episodes where they spoof it, like when they saw Lisa's future, and when they went to a theme park based on a spoof of Harry Potter. And they did also do a Treehouse of Horrors spoof on Harry Potter, but that being with Harry Potter in general, and that was based on the books before the movies even happened. This way it would be different and an original in a good way, because of it being a spoof on the superpowered college thing in general instead of the Harry Potter thing specifically. You could also take advantage of it to make fun of the Harry Potter movies like they would have did in the original episode if they saw it at the time, which would be better you doing it in the modern day anyways. And they did go to Hell School, which was better than the usual school because of them not being British dictators, as in them actually accepting you for who you are. So not only could they do this, but it would also be original if they do this, and it mainly being a spoof on the X-Men for how our superhero college is, and it being and the whole superpowered college thing. But you could also do a horror joke, and it being a joke with there being some monsters in there, with Bart and Lisa being science sorcerers, and them going to a special college to become space cops and monster hunters to do peace between monsters as in aliens and humans and mythical creatures and to fight against them. But only the bad ones.
Ow! This has never happened before. I have a crush on my teacher. Down here, we can make that happen.
I found a portal back to Earth.
Right here?
No, that's super hell.
Hot stuff? I didn't realize you were that evil.
No, I'm being punished for how lame my comics were. I melted it. Get it?
Welcome to Earth. Local time is 10:37. We know you have your choice of portals, so thank you for choosing the Burns Hellport, a division of Gulf and Western.
I couldn't help noticing the school is located in... I'm not one to judge, but,
I'll say it, Marge. It's in hell! The Inferno! Perdition! Arizona without the golf!
No, we do have golf, but all the greens are tricky.
No!
Homer? That's my dad. I can't hurt him.
No, boy! I want you to do it!
What? Why?
Bart, you went to hell and came back a winner. Like Jesus. Now come on, boy. Pull me apart like string cheese. Go! Go!
Is supposed to be here. Class valedictorian, Beelzebub Simpson.
Which one's yours? Nice.
Marge and Homer would only have had to give them up for a while because of the monsters being after them after they stopped some of them, but after they stopped some of them in the modern day is when they got Barney and Lisa back. And it being a college, so it being more original, and it being a superhero college thing in general, and it also being set in the future in the college years, so it being different than the other times of when them going to a different kind of person in the other Treehouse of Horror episodes. And so it also having it being a good future episode or two for it also being good in that way, and so it also having that for it being good. It would be good because it being similar to the Treehouse of Horror episode 8 where it takes place in the future, and it also having something to do with cards, so it also having that for it, and it being good, it being similar to that, because of it being the good episode that started it.
Perhaps a limerick will help. There once was a shiny machete that turned poor Bart's head to spaghetti.
You're gonna die in that cell, Bob. And when that happens, wherever I am, I'll be dancing.
Hey, meat hooks. Hook meat much?
Nelson! Nelson, where are you? The killer's lair looks just like my old bedroom. But how? Oh, maybe the killer's on the security footage. No, it can't be! But she's gone now. She was my last victim. Or rather, second to last.
Penultimate.
Number 4, a Julius Mentos special. Julius Mentos is not at Mexico's version of Halloween, and it not really being a horror holiday, it being more of a spiritual holiday. But the Simpsons can just do the Julius Mentos storyline in general, and it being a tribute to the holiday in general. Don't think of it as it being a horror thing, think of it as them doing the spiritual thing themselves. You could do it with the dead Simpsons characters and them having a chance to say goodbye to them in here. And them also meeting back up with them after they died. It is a Mexican Pacific holiday, but they go to Mexico for this, which would make sense because the Simpsons go on vacation all the time, and they do experience other countries' holidays all the time too. And they would do the same thing that everyone else does in front of the media with Dia de los Muertos. In every cartoon version and every adaptation of the holiday in other forms of media, them doing in the spirits actually is coming back to life in it. And in real life, it being more of a metaphorical thing, and it being more of a spiritual thing, but there also being legends saying why you should do it. And there also being good reasons of why you shouldn't anger the spirits. And they do this in other forms of media for kids' belief in it, and it being similar to like with Santa being real in every Christmas movie. It also being good for the story and for taking this whole thing literally, which is still true, just in a more literal sense. And so you should do that with The Simpsons, and it's because everyone else does it, and it would be good The Simpsons doing it in general. Now, them doing it in a Simpsons way, and it being good The Simpsons doing it specifically. Mucha Lucha did do more than one episode about Dia de los Muertos, which was good and perfect for it because of it being a wrestling Mexican show. So you could use that for there being some Mexican wrestlers as in this episode. And you also saying how Mucha Lucha was the first one to do it and them doing it better than Disney. And The Book of Life was the first animated movie to do the Dia de los Muertos storyline in the same way as Coco before Coco even did it. And The Book of Life was Coco before Coco even existed because it was also about a family and a singer from Mexico. But the villain was actually a villain. It wasn't just a twist villain, and it did also do much better because of it actually having fight scenes in it, and it didn't just rely on it being a Pixar movie. So The Simpsons could do jokes about them ripping The Book of Life off with Coco, and that The Book of Life did it better than Coco. And Coco not even being all that original, and it just being a cheap knockoff of it. And Someone's Big Wish did do the Dia de los Muertos storyline too, but it was also original with them also talking and saying questions about death, and also asking them and answering them. And it was also more original with it, and it did have something to do with sorcerers in it. So you making fun of the fact that Coco was actually late to the party and he didn't even do anything original with it. And you would use it to tell a Dia de los Muertos storyline in general and to do the Dia de los Muertos storyline plain and simple, but you also using it to make fun of Coco and to make fun of Disney and Pixar in general by making fun of Coco. You doing it similar to the other time someone did it that I mentioned in this list, on this pick, and there would also be some songs because as the Simpsons are good at doing songs and then being similar to Coco, but it also being a spoof of those songs and the Simpsons doing their own kind of songs. You would find out about this with the Simpsons, them doing it to honor their traditions. The Simpsons actually paying respect to it and then not being insulting to it. With them just doing the usual Mexico jokes and just doing jokes about all the other things that have adapted the storyline from it, of the holiday from that country. And the dead Simpsons characters would only be there because the Simpsons family is there. It would give the story more meaning to them specifically and so why it being good for them. It's showing that they desperately needed it because of them just desperately needing closure from it. Marge would think it would be a good holiday, Lisa would be giving us the information about it, Bart would think it being a cool holiday, and Homer would find out how good the holiday is in the end. And in the end they would have a big party and celebrate, and it being a good ending, and with all of them singing like at the end of Coco, the animated movie. And you're also doing something good and original with it by also doing the other Mexican legends, because of them being in Mexico and you doing it with the other ones. Like the Aztec Apocalypse storyline, they did do a spoof of that in a Treehouse of Horror opening, but it would be good of doing a full-on spoof of it. Because it deserving it being its own storyline, and if you do it with these other storylines, then it being more original and they're not just doing the same thing all over again. This way, you would show that Mexico has other legends, and you would also take advantage of it being in Mexico. You're also showing us more parts of Mexico, and you also take advantage of Mexico having so many legends. You would also use the fairy tale from Encanto, and also use it to make fun of Disney's Encanto, to show the fairy tale part of Mexico, and there being more to Mexico than just legends, and also to make fun of Disney and Pixar in general. And because of it being a Mexican legend, and it is more iconic now because of Disney doing it based on the original fairy tale of it. And for the horror part of Mexico's most iconic legends and monsters, you're doing the Chupacabra. You're also making fun of the fact that Chupacabra is not actually from Mexico, but because as of him being Mexico's most iconic monster is why you're doing it here, and why he is Mexico's most iconic monster. And he is one of the most iconic monster legends in real life too anyways. You also doing Bigfoot and Sasquatches in general, and you doing it that Chupacabra is similar to Bigfoot and Sasquatches because of them being the most kind of real-life monster legends, and that the Chupacabra is basically a Mexico's version of Bigfoot, with it not being the same Sasquatch, but it being the same monster legend as Bigfoot and Sasquatch is. And that they shouldn't make Chupacabra look like a Sasquatch because it being its own look. And you also doing a joke that no one knows what Chupacabra looks like, but they do know what a Chupacabra looks like. And that Chupacabra eats goats, and they're actually being eating some goat-based foods. And that people shouldn't call the Chupacabra Mexico's Bigfoot because he's his own thing away from Bigfoot. And this whole thing started because Bumblebee Man wants to take some of his friends, the Simpsons, to Mexico to help him celebrate Dia de los Muertos because of him thinking of the Simpsons as his friends and family. And he just wanted to enjoy it with them and his actual family. This way you would flesh out Bumblebee Man more and him being more of an actual character. And this way you would make sure it not being insulting because of someone from that country showing us his culture. Number 3, The Haunted Mansion. The Simpsons already did a spoof on haunted houses in general in their first Treehouse of Horrors special, so you need to make it obvious this is a spoof on the Haunted Mansion movies and on the Haunted Mansion Disney theme park ride. And you having the Tree Ghost, or a spoof version of the Tree Ghost, which would be Homer's friends from the bar, Lenny, Carl, and Moe, and you using it to make fun of Disney. You would make it that the Simpsons lost their house and they got this house because it was the only thing in their family name, but it turned out it being haunted. Not just by these ghosts, but also the ghosts of their previous family members and some of the dead Simpsons characters, and also by some evil spirits like Bloody Mary and Cain, and history's first murderer. Bloody Mary would be Helen Lovejoy, and Cain would be Mr. Burns, and Abel would be Smithers. And the Three Grinning Ghosts would help the Simpsons to get rid of them, and then the Simpsons would help the other ghosts of their family members pass on into heaven, and them also saying goodbye to the dead Simpsons characters. And the Three Ghosts would decide to stay in the house, and the Simpsons would be able to move out of the house because of business, and them going back to their usual house. You would also use it to make fun of the Haunted Mansion movies and the Haunted Mansion theme park ride at Disney, and that Disney is making terrible movies of their theme park rides, and also that Disney failed twice at the Haunted Mansion in movies. Number 2, have a Simpsons meat pie. It would be a spoof on a horror movie, specifically with the Simpsons turning people from a barbershop into meat pies. Homer would own the barbershop and be terrible at it, but then he would get good at it because of the meat pies. And Homer and Bart particularly would love eating the meat pies, and Marge would love making the meat pies. And Lisa would be glad them doing it to the dictators of London at the time. They would start by doing it to people because they were terrible to them, and so they can get more business for the barbershop, but then they would do it to people in general, and then they would use it to set the country free from the British dictators of steampunk London. Before I reveal our top pick, here's a few honorable mentions. Number 1, a spoof on Hal and Disney movies in general. It would mainly be a spoof on Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel, but you would also spoof other things to spoof Disney movies in general, and you're also making fun of Disney, that Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel did a better job of a Disney movie than Disney, even though it being the opposite of Disney, and it showing how good indie animation is, and it showing Disney having no good reason for being a big evil company. Because they just showed that even if Disney does do things like this, it would still be a good Disney movie. You would still have that Infinite Minute Professionals job, but it being because of Homer being in charge of Hell and being the king of Hell, while Lisa, the princess of Hell, would be trying to do the Has-Been Hotel. You would also do some of the usual Simpsons Hell jokes, and also some of the Simpsons usual humor with Homer being a good, successful businessman, and it being in a place like Hell, and him still being a good barber and still caring about Lisa, even though them being in a place of Hell and him being the king of Hell. Lisa would still go to the human world and experience how good humanity is. Yes, and it being because of her seeing the goodness in humanity is partially why her doing this. And partially why her doing this is so there being peace between creatures and humans, and it's because of her having human friends, her seeing the goodness in humans, and it would be good them being together, and her also caring about the human species. And another one of her friends would be a genie princess, which you would use to make fun of Liz and how that turned out, and that Disney messed up the 100th anniversary, and how they managed to mess up something as big as that. And you'd also use it to make fun of Aladdin and it being one of Disney's most iconic movies, and you spoofing the whole genie thing by making fun of Aladdin. And you also making fun of how Disney does the whole genie thing. You're also making fun of the fact that Simpsons managed to do a better Disney movie than Disney, and it by spoofing another thing that did the Disney formula better than Disney by being the opposite of Disney, and it being in a Treehouse of Horror episode, and it also being because while them making fun of Disney, for making fun of their own formula. You also doing that Marge and Lisa actually hate what Disney has become, because at least as they did good movies, now they don't even have that, and now they're just dumb and petty as an big evil company, even worse than Mr. Burns. And it really says how bad it is when you're more pathetic than Mr. Burns. And the only way you being even more evil than him is you being even bigger of a loser than him. And at least Disney movies used to do good animation, now they don't even have that, and it is bad Disney just being a terrible company in general now, while still being a big evil company. And Disney princesses used to be able to get what they wanted more than anything, even if things go against them, and used to be kind and sweet, but now them just being a bigot the other way, and they're not even trying to justify their own formula. And Bart would be an actual monster, and he would be more of what you would usually see from someone from hell, but he would want at the hotel to work out for his sister because of him understanding people needing a second chance. And he would also want there to be peace between creatures and humans because of him also having some human friends. He would be disabled after an accident, but he would want his sister to become the new ruler of hell because he just wants to have fun. He doesn't want to get caught up in hell things. In the end, they would stop the Adam, Ned Flanders, and some of the other rulers of hell, which would be Mr. Burns and Smithers. And two spoofs on Disney villains, which would be Mo and Reverend Lovejoy, which would lead up to Homer passing down the mantle of ruler of hell to Lisa, and she would rule all of hell. There would be peace between creatures and humans, and the Has-Been Hotel would work out in the end. You agree with the top 10 list?
Homer? That's my dad. I can't hurt him.
No, boy, I want you to do it.
What? Why?
Bart, you went to hell and came back a winner, like Jesus. Now come on, boy, pull me apart like string cheese.
Go! Go!
For the first time in a long time, enjoy Halloween.
Saying what is what other top 10 list you want me to do?